We got the jams going.
Oh, that's really good.
Right. I don't have to edit this in. It's just right there. We're talking over it.
Wow.
Technology, huh?
Yep. Amazing.
And we'll get started. Shannon, welcome to the Right Boundless podcast. How are you doing, neighbor?
I'm doing great.
How
I
was
could
the
have
drive?
walked here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're really close to me.
You've been in the area a long time?
I've been in Los Angeles since 1990.
1990.
And I lived on the west side for a little while and then came back to the valley.
Yeah, I've always loved the valley. I don't know what it is. I've never spent time on the other side, but downtown, it's looking nicer now. Where I'm like, that could be doable.
Yeah.
But this is I've been in Studio City almost 17, 18 years.
Yeah. I love it because it's on a grid. It's hard to get lost in the valley.
It's hard to get lost, and then this is like the bridge to everything. Everybody takes Laurel Canyon up, to get to West Hollywood. You could take Coldwater into Beverly Hills. We got Fryman. We got Runyon Canyon. We got Hollywood right down the street. Like, it's super convenient.
It is.
This is
but
a spot.
I like downtown also. I actually like all areas in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LA's, do you know Evan Lovett? LA in a Minute?
No, I don't.
Oh, you got to check him out.
Really?
He's just launched. He was a journalist for the LA Times, and he started doing these like 1 minute videos. They're always like 3-4 minutes, but it's called LA in a Minute. Mm-hmm. And he talks about these fun facts about LA, and every single clip makes you fall in love with LA. Like the first drive-through, LA, the first freeway, LA, the first lowrider car, LA. William Mulholland, he would have been like the man of LA if it wasn't for the St. Francis, dam, collapsing.
Yeah.
And it's just these fun facts, and you're just like, man, what a magical place. And it makes you appreciate what you were saying. Every part of LA is so unique and so different. I mean, it's polar opposites, but that's I guess that's why we love it.
Yeah. Well, you'll never get bored here.
Never.
Because you can go 5 miles and everything is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you came to LA in the 90s. Where are you originally from?
So my family is from Dallas, Texas.
Nice.
So we're all Texans.
Nice.
And my dad joined the military. And so we lived everywhere. So I was born in England. And then from England, we moved back home to Texas for a little while. We were in Austin, San Antonio. My dad was training. And then he had to go to school to become an officer because he was enlisted. And then we lived in Selma, Alabama, Sumter, South Carolina, Clovis, New Mexico, went back to England, then came to the States for high school, and we lived in this terrible shithole town called Clovis, New Mexico.
Wow.
It's the only place I've
like
never
a village,
liked.
like a town.
It's a cow town,
Yeah.
and it just smells like cows and everything that cows do. And it was just so small, and I had moved from England.
Yeah.
I was living in England in the 80s.
That's like, yeah.
And I'm like watching Top of the Pops, and I'm wearing mini skirts with little kitten heels. And I wasn't even a teenager yet, but I already knew like all this fashion and all this music and the Police and Duran Duran and all these bands were coming out in England.
And they weren't even up to date with that.
No. And then we moved to Clovis, New Mexico. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's such a culture shock. That's actually how I learned how to sew.
Really?
Yeah, because I still had access to magazines. So I would get Vogue magazines and I was seeing what was happening. But I didn't have access to like Ralph Lauren or Esprit. And so I taught myself how to sew. Well, I took a home ec class and then I really learned how to sew. And I just started making all my own clothes.
Now let's jump into motorcycles. So when did you ride your first motorcycle? How did you get into motorcycles?
Well, I started on the back. So what had happened is, so I'm really close. I'm divorced, but I'm really close to my family. Like they're my family.
Yeah.
So my infant nephew had a heart condition and he was 4 months and he needed a heart transplant. So he went to UCLA Medical Center and he was there for 5 months. So I was there 3 times a week at the hospital. And I learned this trick to just make everyone your friend because you don't know when you're going to be in trouble. So I was friends with the valet, friends with the cafeteria workers, like everyone was my friend because I never knew when I was going to need just someone to be nice to me, or I didn't know when I was going to start crying. So I made the world friendly. So after that experience, I found that I missed the hospital. So I started volunteering.
Nice.
So for 5 years, I had a mother's circle where I would go and do hand sewing and embroidery with all the mothers of the pediatric patients.
Beautiful.
but it was very heavy. And it's confidential. So I couldn't call my friend and say, I held a baby today that needed a heart, or this happened, or a lead came out and a baby bled all over me. Like, you can't talk about that stuff. So I felt very shut down and very isolated. I mean, I had people at the hospital. There was a staff where we would debrief, but I couldn't share that with anyone in my life. And so everything got really heavy and very sad, and a wave of sadness would come over me, and I just couldn't cope. It was just too much. So on a break, I went to Urban Outfitters, and I saw a motorcycle jacket, and I put it on. And I had this flash. It's like, oh my God, my life's about to change. I didn't know how. I just knew this motorcycle jacket is going to change my life. So that night, I signed up for Bumble, and I just swiped motorcycle guys.
Hilarious.
So I ended up dating this amazing man who's still in my life. He's still one of my dearest friends, and he was the Triumph National Champion. Nice. And he has like 10 motorcycles, and he would put me on the back of his bike. And before he would come get me, he would text me, like, which bike? The Ducati, the Harley, the Triumph? And I was like, oh, the Harley for sure. And so whenever I was on the back of his motorcycle, I wasn't thinking about anything. I was totally in the moment. We would ride and go get dinner, and he would have a helmet for me. And I had the time of my life. So then I decided, I kept swiping motorcycle guys. Because I was like, this is so much fun. I want to do this every night of the week. Anyways, we're still really good friends. But, and then I just started to feel bad. I was like, this isn't cool. You can't use people to get on the back of their bike. Yeah. And so my birthday was coming up. And so I signed up for motorcycle school, but I wanted to do it in Arizona so that no one knew. I didn't tell anybody. And then my parents said, because my parents live in Tucson, they said, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I'm like, y'all make your own plan, because I signed up for motorcycle school. So whatever you want to do is fine, but I won't be there. And then my dad in the background said, hot damn, because he's a fighter pilot.
Right.
He was a fighter pilot.
Right.
So his daughter riding a motorcycle was like a thing for him. And so that first time, and the Arizona school was amazing. There was 2 guys that
What's
were leading
the name of it?
I think it's called Ride Now. And one of the guys was a guy named Chris. He was old and mean, and he would yell at me. And then the other guy was former Border Patrol, and he was younger, and he would give me thumbs up the whole time. Chris was yelling. The other guy was thumbs up. And so the encouragement kept me going. But the first time I pulled the clutch out and pulled the throttle, and we were just on little Yamahas, like 125 little dirt bikes. And the first time I rode by myself, I just couldn't believe the feeling. First time I turned a corner, I was like, I'm turning a corner. Oh my gosh, I'm going more than 10. Oh my gosh, I'm going into second. I'm going around things. I was exhausted by the end of the day because it was in the Arizona heat in April on asphalt. Oof. But man, the sense of pride and accomplishment, I've never felt like that. Yeah. Ever. I couldn't wait for the next day.
Yeah. So you went home, or you went back to your hotel. You were exhausted.
I was staying
woke
with
up
my brother.
excited.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
And then you did how many days total?
I did. It was 2 days.
2 days total.
I failed. I got 100% on my written, but I failed the writing test because I always become friends with the women. And there was 5 women in the class, including myself. And one of them crashed into a fence, and the handlebars went into her chest, and she was bleeding.
That bad?
Yeah, and she was instantly disqualified. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to say goodbye to her. So I was just like, you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm scared now. I'm freaked out. It's the first time I've seen blood on a woman riding a motorcycle. And so I was literally like Pee Wee Herman, just taking my test. Like, I didn't care, and I failed. Yeah. But I knew I was going to come back to California and sign up again. Yeah. So that's what I did. Then I signed up for another weekend course in California and passed. And then I got a Honda Rebel 250. Awesome. One of my friends sold me her bike.
Awesome.
And I outgrew it in 2 weeks.
That's what happens.
Yeah. I went 60 on Sepulveda. I was like, this bike is not fast enough for me. And then I really started to feel like I was my father's daughter. Like, I wanted to go really fast, and I wanted to split lanes. And I really started to feel myself Like really find out, wow, I'm so much stronger and so much more capable than I ever thought I was.
It's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's a big accomplishment. I had a pilot.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say? A fighter
pilot?
Fighter pilot, thank
Yeah.
you. I had a fighter pilot on here for the Navy. And we were talking about, two-dimensional, like when you're driving a car, it's very two-dimensional. It's just left, right, straight, like that. And, when you're flying a plane, it's three-dimensional because you have up, down, you have different angles and stuff. And I asked him, how would you compare this to like riding a motorcycle? And he goes, motorcycle is the closest thing to flying a jet. Like literally, and it's not two-dimensional. It's very three-dimensional. The way you lean over, the way you angle, the way it turns, the way you, and it was interesting perspective hearing this from a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing because it's intense, and then your senses are just focusing on, the car's mirrors and how much space is there, and then can he enter the gap, and can he not enter the gap, and this guy's not going to go in because there's a car next to us. That's a good gap to go through, but you don't want to stay in the gap. Like you're just so focused on that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and being defensive.
Just
like looking at everyone like they're an asshole. Like,
yeah.
So it takes all your senses. So you can't think of anything other than writing. You can't think about babies at UCLA. You can't think about your son. You can't think about anything, or else you'll die.
Can't think about sewing.
You can't think about anything.
Yeah.
Can't think about your students. You have to be in the moment on your motorcycle, being hyper aware of everything going on.
Yeah.
And that's where I find the peace.
Yeah.
Is when I'm writing and I'm just totally in my moment.
The zen.
Yeah.
That's true. And it's funny because I also express to people that when I'm going to go for a ride, or recently I just been riding every day, the moment I come into my office or when I wake up, I'm making my coffee, I'm like thinking, okay, I got to ride here, I got to ride there, I got to run some errands, this, that. Before I get onto the bike, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is crazy. This is dangerous. I'm just going to drive. And until I get to my motorcycle and kick my leg over it and turn it on, when that happens, every thought is gone. Now it's like, all right, lights, brakes, cool, clutch, gears, let's get on the remote. Cool. And you start, I think, and I was talking to somebody else about this, it's the only time I am 100% present. It's like the only time, or when I do a podcast, because I literally get to tell you, hey, shut off your phones, all three of them.
All three of them. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, put on the headphones, let's have a one-on-one conversation, no distractions. And this is the only other time that I get to stay present, other than like I'm always checking the cameras and making sure I'm good recording. But like, outside of that, it's like I can have an intimate conversation, a very private conversation, and get to, know somebody. Where else do you get to do this in today's society?
Right.
It's impossible.
Except therapy.
I guess this is why I've never done therapy. Yeah. So
motorcycles are my therapy now. Yeah.
And then the community it brings,
It's amazing. There's nothing like bikers. Nothing. Yeah. I've traveled, everywhere. And whenever I meet, I just always know if someone rides. Yeah.
How can you tell?
I don't know. There's a friendliness, an openness. I don't know. Or if they used to ride, you can tell. At a gas station, women are always coming up to me and, wanting to see my bike and asking me, where are you coming from? Where are you going? And then they tell me their story. Oh, I used to ride. I rode in the 60s. I had a Triumph. I had this. I had that. So.
And the stories are always great.
They're so great. So sometimes it takes me a long time to get somewhere because I'm talking.
Yeah.
I'll meet the mayor of the town. I was in Wilcox, Arizona, and the mayor just walks over to my bike, and we just have a 20-minute conversation. He's like, can I take a photo with you? I'm like, yeah. He's like, next time you're here, you want to come out to my vineyard? I'm like, sure. He's like, bring all your friends. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I believe most of my interactions and friendships, especially because of the podcast, are all writers.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people that don't ride, but most of the close bonds.
Yeah.
And then when you ride with people, the bond you build, like you're going through rain, you're going through freezing cold, you're going through late nights, early mornings, and it's a different bond.
Yeah, and I think for women, we become so close because before you get on your bike, you have to be okay. You have to be able to tell somebody what's in your head and then leave it with them or leave it there so that you can get on your bike and feel safe. So for me, like I have to trust and love everyone I'm riding with. And most of them know everything about me because you're riding, then you stop at the gas station, you tell them something that's happening, they tell you something that's happening, then you get back on your bike. So it's just you're always sort of bonding with the women that you ride with. So it requires a lot of trust.
Have you used the intercom systems?
I just used it.
Isn't it amazing?
It was amazing.
It's fucking like I've been riding 20-something years,
Yeah.
and I started using it maybe like 5-6 years ago. I will not forget the first day I used it. The first day I used it, I was like, I have 10 people with me. You know, I'm doing the lead, and it's like, hey, you good? Yeah, I'm good. And any stops? No, we're good. No, and I'm like, I feel like we're reading each other's minds because you don't see anybody's face, and you're just focused on the road, and it's the greatest thing added to the motorcycle.
Well, I just did it for the first time 2 weeks ago.
How was it?
Amazing. Because I've had a Senna for probably 3 years, and then I just didn't use it.
Right.
And because I wanted to hear my engine, I wanted to hear the wind, I like to pray, I didn't want to hear music, I need to hear cars, I like having nothing when I'm riding. And then, I don't remember when it changed, I think it was right before I shot my film, we installed the Senna, and I was going on a long trip, even though I didn't even use that helmet. But when I went to South Dakota, I went with other women. We did, how many miles? 3,400 miles with 4 other women. It was so much fun. But they're all on the Senna intercom. And I was like, nope, I'm good. I just want to be with music and be with my thoughts, but I don't want to talk when I'm riding. I do so much talking. I don't want to do that on my bike. And then a couple weeks ago, I was riding with my friend Tim, and he's like, let's hook up our intercom. I'm like, okay. So then we're riding through Beverly Hills, and we're just like, this is amazing. We're talking. And yeah, it was amazing. It was really great. So now it's okay to do that for me now.
Yeah, it's natural.
Yeah, I've just always wanted my privacy almost when I'm riding.
Yeah.
I don't want to be talked to because it's the only time someone's not talking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's almost necessary now.
I think
so.
You
know, especially if you're riding with a group. Because, and especially if you're going a certain distance, people's bike. I mean, I remember somebody was like trying to not catch up to me, but like we'd go into the turns or we'd start like splitting lanes or I'd do whatever. And somebody was just trying to catch up to me. And they're just trying to point at their gas tank. Like, I need gas. Oh, yeah. And now it's like, hey, I need gas. Like, hey guys, in the next 20, 30 miles, I'm going to need gas. Oh, cool. Thank you for telling us,
Yeah.
Anybody hungry? And it doesn't mess up your ride whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The mental block of before that you think it is like, oh, dude, I'm not adding that. It reminds me of, I remember when ABS started becoming a big thing for the Harley Davidsons. I think it was like 2008 is when they introduced ABS, and I was working for Harley Davidson. All the old timers were like, no, I don't want no ABS, because they got used to pumping brakes. They got used to like making their back tires skid or, do that. And on ABS, it just works. And it took some time for the old school riders that had been riding like through the 70s and 80s and 90s to like say, ABS, no thanks. And now it's like, I can't even imagine riding without ABS.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest thing in the world, especially like when it's raining or it's slippery or anything like that.
Well, what else is cool is that I'll make a playlist. And so anytime I hear this one artist, I think about South Dakota. Like it transforms me back to South Dakota.
What's the artist? What song?
It's Zach Bryan.
Zach Bryan.
The song 28 and then Pink Skies. So whenever I hear Zach Bryan, I think about South Dakota.
Nice.
So they're wonderful reminders of, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like Montana. Have you ever ridden to Montana?
Mm-mm.
This was my first time sort of up there. There's nothing like the skies in Montana. It's true. They call it Big Sky Country. I couldn't believe what I saw.
Yeah.
I still can't.
Isn't it weird how like there's different skies in different places?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, my favorite sky is usually Texas.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many clouds. But Montana just blew me away.
Is it like it's like the big giant clouds, right? Yeah. Because I see those in Miami or like when Tulum. I guess over the Atlantic Ocean, you see these major big clouds that you don't see here. The fluffy one, but humongous, like
huge,
tower high.
And then it rains.
And then it rains
And then
randomly.
you see the silver lining.
Yeah.
And you see all these rainbows. And
All
you
within
see
5 minutes.
Yeah, and you're just riding.
All within 5 minutes. Like,
and the whole time I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. You wouldn't experience this in a car, even if you had a convertible. Like, there's nothing like being on a motorcycle, seeing all of this stuff.
No.
And then seeing all the animals, the elk, and the deer. What else? I saw a moose. I did see buffalo.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a buffalo.
They're so big.
Oh, they're humongous.
And they smell.
Yeah. Like buffalo.
Yeah. They smell like meat.
Smell like beef jerky.
They smell like, it smells good. Yeah.
And what's this Beverly Hills group that you've started?
So I have a history of raising money in Beverly Hills. I did volunteer work with an organization called Caring for Babies with AIDS, where there was an orphanage. And there was
a baby with AIDS. So like the parent had AIDS and it transferred.
The parent had AIDS and died.
And died. Fuck. And it transferred to the child.
Sometimes.
Oh my God.
Or the parent was too sick to take care of the child. So the kids went into a group home. So it was 18 to 19 kids in this group home. And I would volunteer there on Fridays. And I held babies that were addicted to drugs, HIV positive, so many things. As a family of 5 kids.
Now, I'm sorry, this sounds stupid, but I just want to understand this. Children hooked on drugs? Like what? How old are we talking about?
Babies born addicted to heroin or addicted to crack. Like,
fuck, the addiction kicks in that bad?
Yeah. If the parent was using while they were pregnant, the baby comes out drug addicted. Yeah. There was also a term called floppy baby, where the baby was like barely alive and it didn't have reflexes, so it's just floppy. So you literally had to love the baby back to health.
That's
and like holding a baby that's shaking. So I've had a lot of experience. So they asked me if I would do fundraisers, because you can't say no to someone that volunteers with babies.
Right.
That are infected and affected by AIDS. No one's going to say no. So I wanted to do this big event, and I said, it has to be at the Beverly Hills Hotel. So I went to the hotel. They said, absolutely yes. Union Bank gave me money, Walt Disney, CAA, Nickelodeon, like all these people gave me checks. And so we did this big fashion show. And I love Beverly Hills, and I had my last drink there 34 years ago. So I just have this relationship with Beverly Hills. It's just beautiful there. So I was riding my motorcycle through there, and I just had this flash. It was like a sweatshirt, just a pink sweatshirt that said on it in black, Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club, because it's two things that are just kind of seem opposite. Like when you think of Beverly Hills, you think of posh, expensive, and then motorcycles, you think of rough. And so it's bringing those two ideas together. And it made me laugh. I'm like on my motorcycle going, the Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club, that sounds ridiculous.
Right, oxymoron.
Yeah, but it's not. It's beautiful. Like, of course you're going to ride your motorcycle in Beverly Hills. And I also have done events where I raise money and do things in the motorcycle community. And so people are always saying, you should start your own club. You should start your own club. Because I would always partner with someone else. And I didn't want it to be like Shannon Allbright partners with Beachside Moto. So I just thought, I'll just start my own thing. So it's...
Shout out to Beachside Moto.
I love Beachside Moto. Oh my gosh, Adam and Franco.
I think I've seen you there.
Yeah?
I think I've seen you.
I just love those guys.
Yeah.
Everybody that rides with them just have such a cool vibe, like really laid back and really friendly. It's one of the best groups.
They just celebrated 3 years right now.
They did, didn't they? December 7th.
Yeah, I went there.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
I just went to say hi real quick.
Yeah. Just the best. They're one of the best groups. And I did an event with them to get 1,500 boxes of crayons for inner city youth.
Beautiful.
With Clayton Kershaw.
Beautiful. Yes.
It was great.
That's awesome.
So I just want to keep going. I just want to keep doing stuff, and I want to partner with other groups. And what happened with Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club is, we just had this really simple Instagram, and all these people were reaching out, not knowing it was me, and then sending me the Instagram going, have you seen this Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club? And then we were involved in other people's chats where people were sending me the chat going, so-and-so is talking about the Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club. And I just wanted to keep it secret until I got all my ducks lined up, until I had it sort of figured out more and had more support and had like an advisory board. And so, yeah, so now we're going for it. And our first 5 rides are just going to be women only. So our first ride is January 5th. And we're meeting at the Beverly Hills Cookie Company.
Nice.
This really nice man owns it. His name is Barry Axelrod, and he used to ride. He stopped riding 8 years ago, but I could talk to him for hours, and he knows everyone in Beverly Hills. He knows who rides in Beverly Hills, and he's just the nicest guy, and they have really good cookies. So we're going to meet there at 11, and just all the women, and then we're going to ride to the Veterans Home in West Los Angeles and visit the vets. And when I went there to set up the ride, I went to 2 vets in wheelchairs and said, what would you think if girls on bikes came to visit you? And they started laughing and they go, that would be great.
Yeah.
And then one of them said, could you bring me a beer? Can you sneak me a beer?
That's
and I said,
hilarious.
I'm not bringing you a beer.
Yeah.
I go, maybe someone else will, but I'm not going to. So I told them about my idea, and they said, well, this is where you go. So I went in and I waited for this wonderful woman, Rebecca, to come down and talk to me. And I just said, what would you think? Would it be okay if we came and visited you? Came and visited the vets, because vets are very dear to my heart. And so as I'm talking, all the vets are hearing, and they're all getting excited. They're all like, we would love that. Please come.
Yeah.
Please do that. And so she said yes. And then I asked her, well, how many can you take? Like, how many bikers can we bring? Because it might be like 70, it might be 90, it might be 80. And she said, could we limit it to 30? I think 30 is good. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do like 12 or 15. Let's really just start off really small and intimate. This doesn't have to be a big thing.
Right.
This can be something that starts off really small, especially when it comes to the sensitivity of who we're visiting and what's really happening.
Right.
And so then I went to go use the bathroom. And when I came out of the restroom,
That's weird.
there was a veteran that had heard what I was saying. And I'm sure he must have been a fighter pilot, because he had that like fighter pilot cockiness. And he's literally waiting for me. And he has this huge smile on his face. And he goes, well, hey there. And I go, hi. And I like turned bright red because he was so flirty.
Right.
And so all the vets were really flirty and really sweet. And they have 30 vets that are in their rooms that don't come out. So I'm hoping that there'll be staff that'll allow us to go. And really the goal of this is, you know, people get really blue during the holidays and feel like their life is meaningless or it doesn't mean that much. And so the purpose of the Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club is to really bring people together so that they know they have a purpose. So bringing the motorcycle community into the veterans' home, hoping that a relationship or a friendship is created so that after the ride, maybe people will see what we've done and see, well, I play the guitar, I play chess. Like, I could definitely go to the veterans home for an hour a week and like make a friend and go have somebody to talk to, or I could go talk to them. Or, you know, some of the vets that are in the rooms, they're bedridden. How great would it be to go read to them?
What's interesting is you're solving multiple, what do you call it? Walls. You're covering multiple things.
Yeah.
In the sense of course, the veterans would love that.
Yeah.
That there's no questions asked, and they deserve it. They deserve it, and it's not that it's a right. It's just like, you know, they sacrifice their life for our country, for us. But you're also solving the other issue where it's like people want to volunteer, but they don't want to do it by themselves.
Right.
They're intimidated walking into, you know, like I want to help, but like now I have to do work to find out how to help. But then if you talk to the wrong person, you're kind of turned off, and it's like, you know, like what's going on? Like I was doing this firefighter thing. Like, you know, I was like, let me just do one of the training classes, or they had a practice physical test. And I went there with zero information. It was Googled and it popped up, and we're having one on Wednesday. And anyways, I did it and I passed it. And then they're like, well, if you want to volunteer, we can do more stuff. And I showed up, and I'm just volunteering. And next thing you know, I'm like in this classroom, and this guy, this firefighter guy's like, I can't believe how some of you showed up here with your beards, and you're showing up with like this and that. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to just volunteer here. You're giving me shit for having it wasn't me, it was other people. Like, and from what I understand, we're all just here trying to get more information to volunteer for being a firefighter.
Yeah.
And we're getting yelled at and screamed at because we came in casual clothes and we came with our beards. And it's like, dude, that's a turnoff.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is sometimes people want to help, but they get the wrong instructor, or they get a person that came on the wrong day. And who knows? It is a firefighter. Like maybe they just rescued a bunch of children, or they lost somebody the day before. So I get that too. But I know people that have tried to help, but they can't find the right door to open. So now you're opening. You're like, hey, let's make this as a group where we all get to ride our motorcycles.
Yeah.
And then you get your talents. And then you help these veterans, and we put it all together. And then the bakery guy is going to be, what's the place in Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills Cookie Company.
Beverly Hills Cookie Company. They get, you're helping you're solving so many issues.
Well, there's so many people
with one cause, which is awesome.
That will call me and say, I want to volunteer, but I don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, well, you could do this and this. And I'll send them a list of 10 things and 10 places where they can volunteer. And so really the first year, what I want to focus on is just Los Angeles. The Veterans Home, Foster Care Girls, Heart of Los Angeles, which is after school enrichment, all sorts of things that the Heart of LA does. There's just so many different places in Los Angeles that need volunteers. The Dream Center, the things that the Dream Center does, it's unbelievable what they do. They literally take people off the street and transform their lives. They'll have a place to live for a year, and then they have transitional housing for 2 years. The things that all these organizations do in Los Angeles, I just don't think that people know. And so it's just creating those opportunities I know for me, when I moved to Los Angeles, I was terrified. I was young. I just turned 21. I moved here from Boise, Idaho. And I just felt like every day I was going to die, that my life was just in danger. And I started volunteering downtown at Heart of Los Angeles at a church on Wilshire and Catalina. And I fell in love with that place. So every Saturday for 5 years, I did arts and crafts with inner city youth. And they helped me more than I helped them because I had a place to go and I had all these friendships. And I was so in love with Los Angeles. And it really helped me find my place and my purpose in LA. And I think that a lot of people suffer from depression, and not even just depression, just like wondering, like, why am I here? What am I doing? What am I doing? And when you have a place to go every week, it'll keep you going through the week to get to that place.
Yeah.
And I've done so many different things in LA. Like I've held babies, which holding babies is actually very competitive.
What do you mean?
There's a lot of women that want to hold babies.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cutthroat.
But what's happening? Like you guys are like boxing, like elbowing each other, like my turn.
My turn, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they, at Children's Hospital at
like
UCLA.
tying each other's shoelaces.
Yeah.
So one tries to walk over there.
Yeah. I've gone to luncheons where the ladies are not always that nice to each other because they're competing for the best spots. And they'll
meaning the best, like the
best shifts.
Yeah.
Where the babies are available.
Yeah, wake and stuff. And
yeah. Like
that's hilarious.
It's hilarious. It's competitive holding babies. So on Facebook, if someone's like, where can I go to hold babies? Like, forget
Get
it.
in line.
Get in line, bitch. There's like so many girls that want to hold babies.
Get in line, yeah.
Yeah.
I like I told you, I raised both my kids
Yeah.
practically on my own. I love babies.
I do too.
I fucking love babies.
Yeah.
And babies and kids and dogs love me. They'll just like throw themselves. I just posted, my buddy brought like a big crazy dog. Mm-hmm. And within like 5 minutes, this dog was eating out of my hand and jumped. He goes, dude, this is weird. He filmed it. He's like, this is weird. My dog never does this. What's going on? He likes him. This is weird. I don't know what's going on. I was like, bro.
You're just a dog person.
Yeah. But to be honest, I'm not a big fan of dogs. I am, but I know my circumstance.
Yeah.
like in a building, or if I don't have the right backyard, or if I don't have the right circumstance, I don't want it because I know it's not right.
Yeah.
But I had a house down here on Landale on
Oh, I love Landale.
that's my
Yeah.
on Ben. I used to live on Ben on
Okay.
Landale, so I had a backyard that had 2 lots on it.
Mm.
And I had this husky dog, and that I loved my dog because he had space, and I was happy. And my 15-year-old was 3 or 4 at the time, perfect. But like when you grab a dog and you don't have the space for it, I don't think it's right.
Yeah.
Like, so that's my thing with dogs. But if I was like in the country or in a farm,
yeah,
or if
I'd
I was,
have 10
I'd have
dogs.
that. I want to have 10 kids.
Yeah.
You
I would
know?
have 10 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, not physically, but I mean, that's my dream, is to basically like have an old Victorian mansion with 10 kids.
Oh, that'd be
each
dope.
kid gets a dog.
This is my thing. It's just my bond with my 2 boys is so strong that I'm like, nobody's going to deal with my shit in 20, 30 years from now. Except for my kids, like they're the ones that are going to put up with my shit,
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, dude, I see the value of, not due to you, like,
Yeah.
in general. I'm like, oh, shit, like, I see the value of having, like, a shitload of kids. But
Yeah.
it's fucking hard.
It's really hard.
It's the first time I say it publicly now.
Yeah. No,
It's
it's really hard. My son will be 22 on New Year's Eve.
That's so awesome.
And it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one tells you like how heartbreaking it is. You get your heart broken all the time.
No.
Just from him growing up. You're like, wow, I feel like I'm being broken up with. And he's just going out. Like,
yo, what's going on, dude?
yeah. That's also how motorcycles helped, was as he became a teenager, I was like, I got to let go. I got to get my own thing going on. I'm like, I'm obsessed with this kid. So, yeah, the motorcycles really helped with that.
Yeah, you were saying it earlier when people were talking, people get depressed and they deal with depression. I probably, the only reason I've never seen a therapist or whatever the case is because of my children and because of motorcycles.
Yeah.
Because I'll have a bad week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a bad week. Like, fuck this week. This week was dumb. I don't
Yeah.
like it. It's stupid. And then, hey, are we riding this weekend? Maybe. Like, hey, dude, just come in. We want you to lead the ride. And I'm like, possibly. All right, maybe. Yeah, I'll commit. It's like, at least I'm riding. And then I'll be miserable the night before. Fuck, I didn't want to ride, blah, blah, blah. And the next morning, it's not safe.
Yeah.
You make all these excuses.
Yeah, all these excuses are, do you guys have to have the ride at 8 a.m.? Oh, my God, it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one guy, it's like, fuck, 8 a.m., but it is good because you get more riding and the weather's cool. Anyways, by the time you're done, it's like,
You feel totally
what
different.
therapist?
And there's
What
nothing like a
therapist?
post-ride nap.
Yeah.
When you get home and you've been riding all day, you're like, oh my goodness. And you're like taking off your boots, taking off your gear, taking off your clothes, and then just like going to bed.
It's
sleeping for like an hour.
It's different for me. 10, 15 years ago, let's say prior to 5 years ago, for 15 years of riding, fuck yeah, I used to nap. Like, I'd get home and I'd be like, oof, and take that nap, and it was golden. But I think it's been like 7 years or something. I don't take naps. I come
Really?
back fucking
Really?
good. I just want to knock shit out. Well, not only that, but like, usually when I do my Sunday ride, maybe that's the reason. Usually when I do my Sunday ride, that's like the one night that I will drop my 5-year-old at grandparents'.
Okay.
And then I'll wake up, do my ride. And then when I get back at 1 or 2, I just leave the bike, and then I'm excited to go pick him up and go to Universal.
Oh,
or do
yeah,
something.
that's
So,
different.
yeah.
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 So basically, in the last 5 years, I haven't had time to nap, I guess is the point.
Yeah.
Therefore,
if I had a little one and I had to cook and like do stuff, it would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
guess
I
that is
don't.
the reason.
Yeah. I get to go home and just go to sleep.
Yeah, because I was like, because you said it. I'm like, man, I haven't had one of those naps in quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love my naps.
So what's the future for Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club?
Well, I think we're going to start off slow.
Yeah, it's one by one.
We've got like 12 girls that are coming to that first ride. They're all my friends. They're all amazing women.
And roughly, how'd you meet them? Through the sewing
Just
or
through riding.
motorcycles?
Yeah, just
So
motorcycles.
how many of them did you get to start riding, or they were already riding?
They're all still riding.
Nice.
They've all been riding longer than I have, most of them. So it's just going to be like 12 to 15 girls. And then the next ride, we'll meet in Beverly Hills. I'm talking to the Beverly Hills Police Department about meeting up at the police department. And they have their first motocop girl, Officer Cotrejas. I'm not pronouncing her name correctly. She corrected me. I know how to spell her name.
How do you spell it?
Contre, I can look it up.
Contrail?
Maybe.
Contrail? Officer Contrail?
There's an S at the end.
Hmm.
Anyways.
I'll find that. I
Yeah.
know one of the guy.
So we want her to lead our second ride. We want her to become involved, and we want to do safety courses with the Beverly Hills Police Department in their parking lot. And they're really excited about it. They're super busy right now, so I'm just leaving them alone. But we keep going back and forth through email. Sergeant Billy Fair, we just keep talking. Such a nice man.
Very cool.
So yeah, so we're just gonna keep doing meetups at Beverly Hills. We're always gonna start at 11 because it's my group, and I don't want to meet up at 9. I want to meet up at 11, and also the noise. We don't want to disturb the people that are there. One of our rides will be at the sandwich shop, Lorenzo's. Have you ever eaten at Lorenzo's?
No, but my buddy Joshua that does the Hangry Rider, he does reviews there.
Oh, so
he does
good.
Food reviews.
It's the best sandwich I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll meet at Mulberry's. We'll meet at every place in Beverly Hills.
I'll put a wig on. I'll do the Miss Doubtfire. Hello. And ride with you guys.
How are you?
Hi, ladies.
But we'll do our first mixed group ride where everybody will come. We'll need a lot of support probably in July because we're going to need 3,000 boxes of crayons, like 25,000 pencils.
Wow.
Because we're going to fill backpacks again.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it's going to be great. So I'm just coming up with everything. And then we do have sweatshirts. And profits go to charities, local Los Angeles charities. We've got hoodies. We've got beanies. We have T-shirts. They're really hot. They're like, I can't wait. They're so cute. So we've got 3 different logos.
They're going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah, the Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club.
You're going to be selling merch.
I think so. But it all goes to a really good cause.
Yeah.
And causes.
God bless you.
And so the first year is
Good
just
for
Los
you.
Angeles. And then we'll do other things in the United States. There's a lot of things I want to do. A lot. I mean, I shot a film, and in the process of shooting the film, you just sort of discover like how many needs there are just in the United States. You know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of needs.
And it's back to what we were talking about. People need help.
Yeah.
And people don't know where to look for it.
They don't.
And when they don't find it, they get depressed. And when they get depressed, they get more depressed. And it's just this vicious cycle.
Well, I teach sewing at all these schools. Most of them are private. And I was telling one of the administrators how I was going to shoot a film. And she said secretly, she goes, I have to tell you, we just had our gala and we raised $700,000 and we don't need it. I was like, what? That's a lot of money and you don't need it? And she said, so I want you to go find out where the needs are and we'll help you. So we're still figuring all of this out. But how amazing would that be to have an LA school connect with a school in Alabama or Deming, New Mexico, or Socorro, Texas, or just all these teeny tiny towns where there's just no resources. Have an LA town, and I think about, so I went to Selma, Alabama, and there was no books in their library. So I came home and I just told all the moms, they don't have books in Selma. Selma, Alabama does not have books. So I got 900 books and I shipped them to Selma. And if I'm able to do that just by sending out an email and talking to a few mommies in LA, could you imagine like connecting LA mommies?
What kind of books? Just random books?
Yeah, just books. Somebody donated 124 copies of Hidden Figures. And that went to the high school, to Southside High School in Selma. And then someone donated 112 copies of The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And so that went to Selma. We got The Secret Garden. We got so many books. Some of them were used and some of them were new. Most of them were new. And I remember it was like $540 to ship books to Selma, which I gladly paid. I was like, I'm just going to pay for this. I'm not going to do a fundraiser. So, yeah, it's just connecting people who want to help with people that need help. And it's not that hard.
Do you have a website where I'm sure you have multiple websites, but do you have a website where people can find these resources or stuff like that?
There will be on the Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club. We're in the process of doing the website where we can connect people with a foundation and have foundations look us up and say, and I really want it to be something where a school calls and says, we don't have this, or
they
we
submit.
or we want our kids to go to Astro Camp. You know, there's a lot of kids in South Central that have nothing. They're not going to Astro Camp. So how cool would it be to have a school in the Valley sponsor kids to go to Astro Camp? Or, you know, there's schools in South Central that
I'm sure
they don't have a school play.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm just throwing, stuff
Yeah.
on the wall, see if it sticks. But I'm sure, like, hypothetically, if there was a way of getting like a warehouse, whatever, in the Valley, downtown LA, whatever, and you started a website and it was just like people can put requests like, we need this, we need that, we need this. And then there's other people like, we have this and we need to get rid of this.
Yes.
It's like the police stations, the police departments, they order all those parts for the cars, and then all of a sudden they have all this extra stuff that's like, we don't need this, and other companies need it, but on an educational level.
Yeah. Well, Facebook is actually really good for that. There's a site where it's like, give it for free or something, where you just say, it's not even Marketplace. It's just like for free. Or LA Mommies is a wonderful
like
resource. Yeah, where LA Mommies on one day will say, is there something that you need? And then people in that LA Mommies group will go, oh, I have this, I can give it to you. So it's like,
nice.
People will say, I need this. And then someone will go, oh, I have that. Or someone will post, I have that. And then someone will say, oh, I would like to have that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's convenient.
Yeah.
What's your guys' website, and where can people find you, and what's your Instagram? And
The Instagram is the Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club.
Great name.
Yeah.
Great name.
I think it's funny. I do. It makes me laugh.
It's available, yeah. It's
Yeah.
an oxymoron.
And I just want to have fun with it.
Yeah. I used to have a car dealership back in the days. It was just a little hole in the wall. But I named it Fast 405, and everybody's like, Fast 405?
Fast 405.
I go, because we're moving cars faster than the 405.
That is such a good name.
Right?
I
still
love
have it.
That.
I think if you look it up.
Fast 405.
Fast 405 auto sales.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a partner. It didn't work out. Typical partner stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just a little thing. We jumped in a little too aggressive. We jumped into like the used car market. So we'd go to the auctions and buy cars. But then there was just so many repairs and getting things fixed up. And then we didn't have financing. So it was cash out of pocket.
Yeah.
And then long story short, towards the end, we started leasing. We had a broker license as well, but we never used it.
Yeah.
And towards the end, I was like, dude, we should have started off this way instead of investing so much on that part.
Wow.
So, but yeah, Fast 405. But every time I said that Fast 405, they'd be like, Fast 405? That doesn't even make sense.
But it's so funny.
And then I was like, but the slogan, moving cars faster than the 405.
That's awesome. Well, ours is the Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club, and then it's
That sounds badass.
Hold My Poodle.
Hold my...
Or Hold My Baby.
Yeah. Hold My Poodle, I like a lot.
So we are gonna start doing photo shoots, and my friend that I met riding just had a baby, so we're gonna do a photo shoot with her where she's like handing me her baby. So it's like Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club. Here, hold my baby.
I was riding with a group of guys when my he's gonna be 6 next month, but when my youngest was born, I had a group of guys that I was riding with. I don't talk to them too much now, but it was very cool because they all rode into the hospital, and they came, and you could just hear the bikes rumbling and stuff. I mean, it probably annoyed everybody else, but no, everybody loved it, And they said, "What's up?" and congratulations. It was very cool.
Well, that's what I hope to do next year, not this year, but our toy drive. I want to get toys for the children at UCLA Medical Center. They have a circular driveway, so all the motorcycles, all the children are on the 5th floor. They can hear the motorcycles.
Nice.
They can go out to the deck and look down and see all the motorcycles.
Isn't it cool how children, it excites them, motorcycle?
Well, and another thing that's amazing is I love Instagram. I'm on it too much, and so I'll limit myself. But on Sunday,
don't consume.
Huh?
Create content, don't consume it.
Oh, I do consume. I love it. So I'm on Instagram on Sunday, and it was just toy drive, toy drive, toy drive. All the biker, everyone in the biker community has created a toy drive. And so when I think about how many kids are getting toys just because of the motorcycle community.
Oh, yeah.
And Saturday and Sunday, there's just ride after ride after ride. And usually I participate. I usually do the VVMC.
Yeah, those guys
I
are great.
do the Booze Fighter ride for Hillsides. And then there was one other ride that I do.
Pasadena.
In Pasadena, yeah. And they're donating to the Optimist Club. So PMC is doing Optimist Club. And I did it last year. And I bought sweatsuits for the girls because I know.
Yeah.
I used to
You know,
volunteer in the home.
Yeah.
And so I know what the girls need. They really like false eyelashes. They want makeup and false eyelashes.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that funny?
Each their cup of tea.
Yeah.
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 Well, I think we covered a lot, Shannon.
Well, this was so nice being here.
Absolutely. And, hopefully we do this more frequently with updates or anything going on. I want to, maybe we'll do a follow-up like at the end of January, February.
Oh, that'd be great.
I want to know how the ride went. I want to show the sweaters or what are they going to be, sweaters?
We've got sweatshirts and T-shirts.
And
We've got hoodies.
And hoodies.
Nice. The hoodies, I'm probably never going to take them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Why would you?
They're like luxurious and the artwork is amazing. And I'm really excited about this.
You know, I'll throw a little fun fashion thing that I picked up and noticed. So I've done a lot of traveling, and I've been to like many countries, and it's funny. It got to one point where I was like, "All right, Louis Vuitton. All right, you know." Like I started seeing it everywhere, and then I started thinking, I go, every major city has Louis Vuitton or Prada or has this, and then I started thinking about Harley dealers because I wanted to buy my T-shirts, to take home, and then I was like, wait a minute, I think Harley Davidson is more exclusive than Louis Vuitton and then I started looking at the stats, and there are more Louis Vuitton stores than Harley dealerships, and I'm like, wait a minute, Harley is more exclusive than
oh wow.
And I put in that perspective because I was just like, it's like no matter what major city I go to, that was. Yeah. They didn't have a dealership, so. Well,
there's something also about Beverly Hills that I don't think people really understand is just how friendly it is.
Oh yeah.
It's a small town. It just happens to be posh. But, I'll go to, there's a Dior coat that I love right now. It's $22,000, so I'm probably not going to get it. I couldn't imagine. I would rather have a motorcycle than a coat.
Right, of course.
But I do go and visit it, and you can see, like, the way that it's sewn and just everything. And then there's a suit there. There's a denim suit. And so I'm talking to the stores and asking them, well, if we did an event and if we did a fashion show at the Beverly Hills Hotel, would you want to participate? And everyone has said yes. So we're probably going to do a fashion show.
Fuck yeah.
And all the motorcycle people are going to come. And they're going to be models. And there's really no limit.
No,
there's no limit. And then also just in the process of, I don't know, just being a sewing teacher and raising money and being in the community. So I was teaching this little girl how to sew, and she's hilarious. And she's a total badass. She does Krav Maga. She's got like...
Krav Maga. Krav Maga.
She's got a black belt, and she's a dancer. And I was teaching her how to sew. And so the radio came on, and there was this, I don't know, I should say. So there was an ad for a law firm. So this little girl goes, that guy's a crook. I said, what? She goes, that guy's a crook. And I go, how do you know that? And she goes, my dad's a chiropractor, and he deals with all the lawyers. So I said, okay, who's the best? So she told me. So I started following him on Instagram, and he followed me back. And I said, this little girl says that you're the best. So now every time I do an event, they say, how much do you need? What would you like? We love everything that you're doing in the community. So they're a big supporter. Brett Sachs at MVP.
Nice.
I love those. I love them. They're amazing people. And I don't even have to say, like, I'll just let them know I'm doing this event. They're like, well, can we get the coffee? Can we get the treats? And then can we write you a check? Like, yeah, you can. And they don't ask for anything in return. They're not asking to be on a flyer. They're not asking for me to talk about them. They're just really just wanting to help in the community. And then I watch their Instagram, and I see all the amazing things they do.
Good for them.
In the community. Then one of my friends got in a motorcycle accident, and they're helping her.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. It's hard to find a good attorney.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And when a little girl tells you that they're the best, I believe a 7-year-old little girl.
Especially the dad being a chiropractor, because he deals with multiple attorneys. He's dealing with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attorneys. So he shouldn't care unless if the person is a crook, Yeah. So and he will care if there's a person that's much better. So that's a solid.
But even when I'm riding my motorcycle, it gives me a badassery. I'm like, oh, you're going to mess with me? Well, I'm going to call Brett. If you do anything to me, I'm going to sue you.
That's awesome. That's awesome to have that.
So
Yeah, your confidence will be a lot higher if you have what do they say? The secret in life, you have to know a good doctor, a good attorney, and
yes.
and I think there was one more other thing you had to know, but
Yeah, I have 3 attorneys. Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon, I think we'll wrap it up right there. We're over an hour.
We've been talking for over an hour.
We've been talking for over an
Wow,
hour
you're
and
so
8 minutes.
easy to talk to.
I'll tell it to my exes. I'm kidding. No, I still talk to them. Again, we'll do this again.
Okay.
And I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.